Hello, continuing with our journey in the Django documentation section getting started. In this video, we are talking about path 2, model, and admin. So, writing your first Django app part 2. This tutorial begins where tutorial 1 left off. We'll set up the database, create your first model, and get a quick introduction to Django automatically generated admin site. Okay, so where tutorial 1 left off. Yeah, there's one thing left off. Okay, here. Last time we were here. And if you notice, if you follow my video, and you are also using VS Code as your editor, code editor, then you may notice some dot here and some numbers here. And when you point your mouse there, you will see 3 problems in this file, or here you will see a tooltip saying that 1 problem in this file. Also here's 1 problem. Okay, so these are problems. And so when you run the start debugging or run without debugging, then VS Code will claim there show some error message or so. So what are this and how we solve it? The easy thinking is that because VS Code is using the global Python, while we are building those things here using our virtual environment. Okay, so to solve this, go to View and then Command Palette. Click on Command Palette. Here, type Python and go to look for Select here. Select Interpreter. So you will see that selected interpreter is Python. And this is within the system app data local program, and it's recommended by VS Code. However, we are looking for something else, so you go with Enter, click on Enter, and then click on Find, and go to your, for example, here for mine is desktop, DJ for begin, go to script, and here you see Python here. Click on it and select interpreter. Now you see no error. No more error. It's why? Because we are back to our command palette. When you go back to select, now you see we are in the virtual environment. So within the virtual environment, as you remember, there are Django, there are 4 packages. And that's why now those satisfied with our code. While when we are using this, we're not satisfied. So, okay. Now let's see, like, when you are going back to this, you see, oh, error occur. So when you are going back to your virtual environment, no more error. And one more thing is the terminal. You either can go with a command prompt as we are going so far. So far so good, yeah. But if you want to go with the IDE, integrated development environment, the terminal of it is here. So you can click on a new terminal and you have it. But what is now here? Oh, some error, man. Okay, that's no problem. It's because the new cross-platform use PowerShell. And as I mentioned in my previous email, PowerShell by default restricted to run scripts. Of course, you can activate to let PowerShell run the scripts, which later when you are at higher level, yeah, we will use PowerShell for the convenience. But as I said, for the beginner level, I prefer to use command prompt. So to solve this, it's not hard. here on the right hand side, click on the plus. Oh, no, sorry, not on the plus. On the arrow, I think. Yeah, on the arrow. And switch to command prompt. See, everything's solved. And maybe I will delete the PowerShell, kill the PowerShell here, and I use command prompt only. So you see, now it automatically jumped into our virtual environment. And you can do whatever here, okay? Instead of using the command prompt, you can go with the terminal. Okay, so now we go with our next step. Where to get help? Okay, to get help, you go to getting help. We do the database setup. Okay, now open my site settings py. It's a model variable representing Django setting, of course, that setting py. And go back to our VS Code. To make it easy, simple, we close all windows and we go to my site and setting. Okay, here. Now what? By default, the configuration use SQLite, and most of the case this is good for learning. It's easiest choice. But if you want to go to for production or so, then you may go with Postgre or MySQL. Okay. If you wish to use another database, install the appropriate database bindings and change the following keys in database default, like here in the engine. You may change it to the appropriate database of your choice. But for us, we are using SQLite, so we don't need to change anything. But if you have Postgre or you want to use MySQL or Oracle, then go it. But if you want to go there, before that you have to follow the database binding instruction here. Okay, but at the beginner level, and for a learning purpose, I think we don't need to make it complicated. So we stick with the default database SQLite. Okay, but it's worth to take a look at what they are talking about. Okay, so here, and I see that that's why I don't like the terminal so much, because it blocks my site. Okay, so okay, I close it. Go to database. Where's database? Here. The engine and the name. So if you are not using SQLite, then follow the instruction in the tutorial here. Change it to Postgre or MySQL or Oracle. And the name of the database. If you are not using, if you're using database SQLite, then the name is already set to the file name and the root here for you. If not, then you have to do it yourself. Yeah. Okay. So here you see base directory and dp.sqlite3. We can see it here. Here's our. Let's see. Here's our environment, our source also, and here's our source, my site. And when you click inside the my site, the outer my site, you have the child my site, and here's the database file, dp_sqlite3. Okay, that's what we are talking about in this part. Okay, here the name dp_sql. So if you don't want a dp, you can rename it to anything. But for the purpose of learning, we strictly follow the tutorial. Okay. So if you are not using SQLite, then you have to do some additional settings like user, password, and host. And Also, you have to do some setting on your database. For database other than SQLite, if you are using database SQLite, make sure you've created the database by this point. So if you are not using SQLite, you have to create a database at this point and do it like that here. Create database using your database client. You have to go and create it. So, but I will ignore it here because we are using SQLite. So just a notice for you. And then make sure, if you are not using SQLite, make sure to do the settings and create and give the privilege for create database for the user named in the setting py, so that we can automatically create some database during the tutorial. Once again, we are using SQLite, so we don't need to do anything at the moment. If you are using SQLite, you don't need to create anything beforehand. So that's I love. So while you are editing my site setting, set the time zone to your time zone. Where is it? Go to time zone, password, here, time zone. Okay, use time zone true and use international regional settings becomes true by default. Okay, so time zone. Either you use the default UTC or you can set the time zone by looking for a time zone list. Okay, now let's see. Time zone, list of database time zone, I think so. Time zone list. Here, list of time zone database. Google is the great teacher, okay? Here, you have a lot of, what you will have to set there is here. Look for your region and then your city and type exactly that things in. For example, go with America, ADAC, then type it America/ADAC. Or we keep, as you can see here, is the UTC. Or for my case, Asia, Vietnam, Asia and Vientiane, not Vietnam. Asia. Oh, my city is not listed. Saigon. Okay, here. Asia, Saigon. That's my case. Okay. Our UTC. See? Okay, we close it here. So, also note the installed app setting at the top of the file that holds the name of all Django applications that are activated in Django instance. Apps can be used in multiple projects and you can package and distribute them for use by others in their projects. So by default, install apps contains the following apps. Those are, surely there is admin, is an admin side. Auth is authentication system. Content types, a framework of content types. Session, a session framework. Message framework. Static files is the managing static files. Okay, so where is it? On our setting, it's on the top here. Installed app. And for sure, your poll app here, our polls app here, should be placed in here. Because all the apps are declared here, defined here. Okay? So, this application are included by default as a convenience for common case. Some of this application make use of at least one database table, though So we need to create a tables in the database before we can use them. To do that, run the following command. Okay, now we go with the command. So Python manage py migrate. So you either go here and cd desktop, and then we have to go with the Django for begin slash scripts and slash activate to go into our Django virtual environment, and then we have to go to cd my site to go. What? Oh, sorry. cd Django for begin slash my site. Okay. There, as I mentioned, and in the tutorial mentioned, that we have to go at the level of where the manage py file locate. It is in the outer my site folder. Okay. Either you have to go like this, and we are activated our virtual environment, so then we can go with here, or now it's a comfortable way is to run with the terminal. New terminal. Oh man. Okay, here the command, and you see already automatically activate the virtual environment, so you can go inside here. Now let's copy and paste my beloved action. Python manage py migrate. Control copy. Okay, Control V. Enter. Kaboom! But you see, if you're using that, you have to always go up and down to see what is on here. But it's worth to use that. Okay. So when you type Python manage py migrate, the operation perform admin, auth, content types, and session, and applying content to auth, applying to. Okay, everything is okay, as you see. And one good thing of this is the color. You see, the color is really good. If you are using command prompt, you will see olive green. So it's not nice as we are using with the terminal from VS Code. That's why maybe we stick with terminal. Okay. Okay. So what's next? The migration command looks at the installed app. What we mentioned already. Here, the install app in the settings py. Okay, it looks here, and we'll do some migration of database, yeah, and create any necessary database tables according to the database setting in your my site setting py, and the database migration shipped with the app. We'll cover this later. You'll see a message for each migration it applies. If you are interested, run a command line client for your database. Command line client is to see what tables are in there. Yeah. So those commands are like dt for Postgre, show table, that table for SQLite, or select table name and org to display. Okay. For SQLite, maybe you have to type that table within the command line client. So what is that thing? SQLite command line client. So we see what it is. Okay, SQLite here, command line shell for SQLite. So here you will see that you have to install SQLite 3.exe executive on Windows, and then run the command to go into the command line, and there you can type something like here to see that what the table are, everything like this command line, and it's really, let's say, it's quite complicated, yeah. So there's another way to look into your database, a convenient way. Is I think it's DP browser, yeah, DP browser for SQLite. Okay, go here and download it. Download and install it. Okay, for Windows here, go with your version of Windows. For mine is installer for 64-bit. Okay. So the purpose for this is to see what was created with migrate. Okay, so show tables on, yeah, to see the tables. As I download and install DP browser already, so I can open it here. Sorry. So you see here, and I go and open database. Click on open database. That is very convenient. My side, and here our database, dp.sqlite3, open. See the tables here, and everything is, yeah, easier than a bunch of command, yeah. Here maybe for example you go author, user, you can see the ID columns, yeah, those are columns, yeah. ID, password, last login, okay. That's, you see, this is really easy, and you can manipulate with your playing around with your that SQLite database. Okay, now what's next? So for the minimalist, I am not a minimalist. So you may, this is long story short, is that you may delete apps that you don't like, so that you have an environment that you want. But I think the default apps are good enough for me, and I don't see any point to delete those. But if you don't like, you can command out or delete. Yeah. This is for minimalist. Okay. Now we are going to create our first model. Last video we create our view, as you remember. In the last video we create our views here, the poll views. Yeah. We said, hello world, you are the poll index. Okay, now we are going to create our first model. Okay, now we define our first model. Philosophy. A model is a single definite source of information about your data. It contains the essential fields and behaviors of the data you are storing. Django follows the try principle. And the goal is to define your data model in one place and automatically derive things from it. This includes the migrations, unlike in Ruby or Rails. For example, migrations are entirely derived from your model's files and are essentially a history that Django can roll through to update your database schema to match your current models. Simple. It's model. It's manipulate your database. Yeah. In a poll app, we'll create two models: question and choice. Means two table, question and choice. A question has a question and a publication date. A choice has two fields: the text of choice and the vote tally. Each choice is associated with a question. This concept are represented by Python classes. Added the poll models file so it looks like this. Okay, now we go to our post models.py. Post models here. Post, I will make it so that you can see, concentrate on post. Concentrate on post, open our model file. It's here. Okay, already open. And now what do they want us to do? From Django, import models, class question, models. So import the class models, and within that, go to the model and set the question as a character fields with the max length of 200 characters, and the public date is the date time field with the label of date publishes. Class choice models, and the question comes from foreign key is the database link relationship. Question on delete models cascade. Okay, when delete, then cascaded. And choice text is character fields with max length, and the vote integer. Okay, I think that's we make it copy and paste. Oh, that's the best. Okay, from Django database import models. Yeah, from Django database import models. Okay, create your models here. I created here. Control V. That's my creation. Okay, I think it's good. Here, each model is represented by a class that subclasses Django DP models model. Each model has a number of class variables, each of which represent a database field in the model. Each field is represented by an instance of a field class. For example, character field for character field and date time for date times. This tells Django what type of data each field holds. The name of each field instance, question text, or public date is the field's name, the column of the database. In machine-friendly format, you use the value of your Python code, or your database will use it as the column name. Yeah, I said column name. You can use an optional first positional argument to a field to designate a human-readable name that uses a couple of introspective parts of Django and is doubles as documentation. If this field isn't provided, Django will use a machine-readable name. In this example, we only defined a human-readable name for question pub date. What they said is that here. Only here we assign that. In this field only. That date published. Yeah. For all other fields in this model, the field's machine-readable name will suffice as its human-readable name. Okay. Some fields class have required arguments. Character field, for example, requires that you give a max length. Here, the max length that uses not only the database schema but invalidation as we'll soon see. A field can have various optional arguments. In this case, we will set the default value of vote to 0 in here. Default value here. Default value set to 0. Finally, note the relationship is defined using foreign key. That tells Django each choice is related to a single code question. Django supports all database relationships, many to one, many to many, and one to one. Okay. Foreign key here. foreign key here. So the question is the foreign key, which related to here. Okay. Activating modals. That small bit of modal codes give Django a lot of information. With it, Django is able to create a database schema, create a statement within the database for this app, and create a Python database access API for accessing question and choice objects. But first, we need to tell our project that the Pose app is installed. Philosophy: Django apps are pluggable. You can use an app in multiple projects, we mentioned it already, and you can distribute app because they don't have to be tied to a given Django installation. Okay. To include the app in our project, we need to add a reference to its configuration class in the installed app setting. Here, you remember the setting? Yeah, the pole config class is in the post app.py file, so its dotted path is poles.apps.postconfig. Edit the my site settings file and add the dot path to the installed app setting. It will look like this here. I just need to copy this line, to copy and go back to my site settings. Here, you remember? Installed app. And we appended at the end. So that we know those are the default, and now it's ours. Post.app.postconfig. Okay, and save it. Save. And modals also we have to save it. Save. You can go with Control S. Okay, now what's next? Now Django knows to include post app. Let's run another command. Now we have to make the migration, yeah? And copy and paste though. Control copy. Back here, go to the terminal. Control V. Hi. Some key binding don't go with the terminal by default and are handled by user instead. Okay, whatever. Python manage py. You see Python manage py make migration pods. Make migration for the app pods. Okay, enter. Come. Now migration for pods. Post migration init initial.py create modal question, create modal choice. So you should see that, and I've already read it. By running make migration, you're telling Django that you've made some changes to your model. In this case, you have made new ones, and that you'd like to change to be stored as a migration. Migration are how Django stores changes to your models and those of your database. There are files on this. You can read the migration for your new model if you like. It's the file in post migration and initial.py. Let's see what it is. Post migration 01 initial.py. You see here. Let's say that we have to go there. Operation is migrate, name, fields. And you see the fields. They create some fields like what we have doing with our model, and then here. So it create two models. Yeah? Okay. At the moment, don't mess up too much complicated things in our head. Yeah. Okay. But they are designed to human editable. Well, you can read it. Okay, so that you can tweak it if you like. There's a command that will run the migration for you and manage your database schema automatically. That's called migrate. At the beginning of this part, we do that already. You remember that at the beginning here, we do it already here. Python migrate, so that we will create some database for those default application. Now we're doing the migrate for our beloved post application. So but first, let's see what SQL migration would run. Now we test it first. So to test it, we use sqlmigrate command takes migration name and return their SQL. Okay, let's see what it takes. Control copy. Back to our beloved one. Control V. Hey, man, sorry. Not there. Here. Control V. And enter. Here you see. Here we see it. Python manage py SQL migrate post 001 begin create model question create table post question. Okay, and then do boom, and those are SQL command. Yeah. So you don't have to do it. Django do it for you. That's the great thing of Django. Instead of you have to do it, manipulate your database. You have to create the table, do it, anything with your database. Django will do it for you. That's the great thing. Okay. So you should see something similar to the following. Okay, we have already seen it. Foreign key on so commit and so. Okay. Note the following. The exact output will vary depending on the database of you're using. The example above is for PostgreSQL. That's why it looks tidy. Huh? For ours, it looks kaboom, yeah, like a block. But it's the same. Table names are automatically generated by combining the name of the app, post, and the lowercase name of the model, question, and choice. Okay. Primary key for database always you have to have the ID. Yeah. Added automatically. That's great. You don't need to do that. By convention, Django appends /_ ID to the foreign key field name. Yes, you can write this as well. The foreign key relationship is made explicit by the foreign key constraint. Don't worry about the deferrable parts. It's telling Postgre to do not enforce a foreign key until the end of the transaction. Okay. It's tailored to the database you are using, so database specific field types such as auto increment or serial or enter primary key automatically are handled for you automatically. That's what I love. Handled for you automatically. That's what I love. So you don't need to know too much about SQL. Okay. Same goes for coding or field names, e.g., using double quotes or single quotes. The SQL migrate command doesn't actually run a migration on your table database. Instead, it brings to the screen so that you can see what SQL Django thinks it is required. It's useful for checking what Django is going to do, or if you have database administration. If you have database administrators who require SQL scripts for change. If you are interested, you can also run Python manage py check. Let's see what it is. Python manage py. manage py check, manage py check, and see what it is. System check identified no issue. Okay, that's good, man. Now run migrate again to, where? Now run migrate again to create those models in the database. And the command is easy. Command Python manage py migrate, copy and paste and enter. Okay. Operation perform, apply migration and running migration, applying an issue. Okay, so we are done. The migrate command takes all the migration that haven't been applied. Django tracks which one are applied using the special table in your database called Django migration and runs them against your database. Essentially, synchronize the change made for your models with the schema of the database. Okay, migration are very powerful and let you change your models over time. As you develop your project without the needs of delete your database or tables and make new ones. It's specialized in upgrading your database life without losing data. We'll cover them in more depth in later parts. But for now, remember the 3-step guide making models change. The first is change your model. The second, run make migrate. You have to run make migration. And then migrate. That's the 3 main parts for model. The reason that there are separate commands to make and apply migration is because you commit migration to your version control system and ship them with your app. They not only make your development easier, they are also usable by other developers in production. Okay, you can read Django admin documentation for full information about manage py utility can do. And before we go next, we will see where it is. I think I have to close the database and then open it again. Post here. Okay, post choice. And we have another is post question. See, we have 2 new tables. ID is automatically created for us, and we have choice tags, vote, question ID. Question ID is a foreign key. As we said, we already mentioned about that. Okay, so ID of question tags. Okay, so that's it. We jump to a new thing. It's playing with the API, application protocol interface. Okay, now let's hop into the interactive Python shell and play around with the free API Django gives you. To invoke the Python shell, use the command Python manage py shell. Okay, copy it. We're using this instead of simply typing Python. Okay, you can simply type Python and it's also jump to the Python shell. For example, when I go here, here, Python, and it's jump to Python shell. Okay, so quit. Okay. But why we are using this manage py? Because manage py sets the Django setting module environment variable, which gives Django the Python import path to your MySite settings py. See? So if you are using that, you can use the import path. Okay? So either we are going with this, and I think we go with our beloved terminal. Okay, here. Let's go. Control V. Python manage py shell. Enter. We are in the shell. The 3 arrow head will indicates that we are in the shell. Okay. Now, here. The sharp signal is for command. What after the sharp signal is the command, okay? And we just need to import something before we go. Control copy and Control V. Enter. Okay, so we imported already. Then no question are in the system yet, so yes, we have not created any data yet. Control copy, Control V, enter. Yes, the query set is 0. As you can see here, the set is 0. Okay. Create a new question. Support for time zone is enabled by default setting. So Django expect a data time with TZ info, time zone info. For pub date, use time zone now. Okay. Instead of that, date time now, and it will do the right thing. Okay. We keep on with the time zone as UTC, so we go with that. So now we import another class is Control V. From utilities, import time zone. Kaboom. Next, set our first question. And here we enter our, you see, instead of manipulate with our database using the those things like that, you add the table data, create table or create index or whatever, that's complicated. We just need to let Django do it all for us. And you see, we just type some query, some script, and Django will do it for you. So what is this one? Is in the question, create what's new with the public key date is the time zone now. Okay, enter. So save the object into the database. You'll have to code save here. Copy, Control V. Being a programmer is easy, you see, just copy and paste. Now it has an ID. Let's see, ID must be 1. Control V, enter, and you will see it's 1. Our first data, record. Access model field value via Python attributes. Quick question text, see what it shows. Here, you see we created what's new, and let's see. And also we can see the public date, publish date, here, date, time, 27 May 2022 at 22, yeah, it's hour and so. Okay, time zone, they also use UTC and we also use UTC, okay. Change values by changing the attribute, then calling save. Okay, here. What's up? Here is what's new, remember that? Now we change it to what's up. And we call save. Query save. Okay. Now, let's see all the questions we have. Kaboom. Okay, we have one object because what's new and what's up. What's up is an adjustment for what's new. So only we have one object. Okay. Wait a minute. What the heck is that? Isn't a helpful representation of this object? Yeah, because okay, reading that it's question object one means that there's one object in our database, but it's not so helpful. Yeah. Let's fix that by editing the question model in the model py file and adding the string method to the question and choice. Okay, you remember our model? Get back here. Model. Now we have to go back to model here. Okay. Now what is set is in the model we have import model, we have class, and so going. Then now add those things in. Define string, define method string, return self question text. Control copy. In the question here. So add it to here. Control V, define string self, return self question text. Okay. And also in the choice, define string and here, the choice. Add it to our code. Okay, that's it. It's important to add string method for your models, not only for your own convenience when dealing with the interactive prompt, but also because objects representation are used throughout Django automatically generated admin. We will talk about that right now, I think. Later, I think. Let's also add a custom method to this model. So import time, import models, import class models. Okay. So the import section, we have to add something. The easiest way is here's from Django import models. From Django import models. Yeah, here. I replace it here with Ctrl V. Import date time. We have not used it in our date time, and time zone is not used in our code yet. That's why it's dumb. That's intelligent of VS Code. Import, yeah, import models, import time zone utility. Okay, so in the class question, we will add another definition here. That we are using time zone and time delta and date time. Okay, Control copy. In the question section, Control V here. Define words public recently. Self, return self, dot pub date, and its time zone now, and date time is day 1. Okay. Note the additional import date time from and time zone to reference Python standard date time module and time zone related utility and time zone utility, respectively. If you aren't familiar with time zone handling in Python, you can learn more from time zone support docs. Click on that and you go here and you can read it. But for the moment, I think we are okay with that. Save this, change it, and start a new Python interactive shell by running Python manage py shell again to refresh it. Okay. So, oh man. I always have a little problem with pickup things. Okay. First, I have to save first. Control S or file and save here. And we still have something to save. File and save here. So here, no, nothing remind us to save anything more. And here we have to quit. Quit. And go again. For Python, manage py shell and then copy that. Yeah, okay. Okay, copy that. Okay, now Python manage py shell rerun. Okay, and then Control V. We import post model, import choice and question again. Now question all. Make sure our string method works. Okay, so question object all. Control V. And remember, instead of you seeing here question object all, you see a number 1. Now what we see? What's up? It's better, yeah? Instead of question object 1, now we have question what's up. Okay? Here, it said question what's up. Django provides a rich database lookup API that's entirely driven by keyword arguments. So you can go with question and go, what is the question with ID 1? Okay. Query, what is the question in ID 1? That's what's up. And for the time being, we have only one ID. Okay. Also, you can filter. Okay, what start with what? Okay, what's the record that start with what? Here, question text start with what? And that is what's up. Okay, that's good. That's great. That's easy. Get the question that was published this year. Okay, now we have to import the time zone. Control V and import the time zone. What the heck? And so, let's go for the query. Control V, current year, time zone year, and the question is, public date, what are public during this year? Control V, and it is what's up. Okay? Here, the answer is what's up. Request an ID that doesn't exist. This will raise an exception. Okay, now we will go with the error message, exception. Okay, Control V and enter. Oh, boom, 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 what that said. Okay, django reason does not exist. Question matching query does not exist. Yeah, let's see. Track back and okay. Question method does not exist here. You see, it said so. Okay. Because we have only one ID at the moment, that's why. Lookup primary key, in most case, shortcut primary key is lookup, following the identical to question object at ID 1. So the PK is primary key. So you see, we can query quite a bunch of variable way to query some data from our database. Look for what becomes with what, or for primary key, or from ID, or so. Okay. So make sure our custom method worked. Go. Copy. Control V. Hey, man. What the heck? Control V. Hey, what? I think I have something wrong. Oh, man. The pickup. I picked this one, man. The copy. Control V. And enter. And then was published recently. And then enter. So the question is, primary key, when was it published? Was it published recently? And the answer is true, yes. Give the question a couple of choices to create codes, construction new. Choice object does the insert statement adds a choice to the set of available choices and return a new choice object. Django creates a set of hosts out of sight for foreign key relation. For example, a question's choice which can be accessed via API. Ow. Okay, let's go again. Ctrl V. And then display any choice from the related object set none so far. Yet, remember, we have not do any choice yet. And you see, nothing so far. So we create 3 choices. Not much, try the sky, and just hacking. Okay, let's go with not much. Ctrl V, enter. Another choice is the sky. Ctrl V, enter. And the next is just hacking again. Okay, just hacking again. Okay. Now, choice object have API access to their related question object. See question. What's the question is still what's up. Okay. Now we see all the choice we have. Here's his choice not much, choice the sky, choice just hacking again. And then count the choice. Of course it is 3, easy at the moment. Okay. The API automatically follows relationship as far as you need. Use double underscore to separate relationships. This works as many levels deep as you want. There's no limit. Find all choice for any question whose pub date is in this year, reusing the current year variable we created above. Okay, so now we go with filter. Filter by published date. Kaboom. Okay. Let's delete one of the choice. Use delete for that. Okay. We follow the instruction. Kaboom, and then we have to save. To delete. Confirm our delete. Okay. For more information about on model relations, see assessing related object. Yeah, you see the documentation is very full. Yeah, you can read everything you need. For more on how to use double underscore to perform field lookup via API, see field lookups. For full details on the database API, see database API reference. So the more you know, the more you have to go to stick with the documentation. Now, we're going to the Django admin site. Introducing the Django admin. Philosophy. Generating admin site for your staff and client to add changes to delete content. Not so creatively. For that reason, Django entirely automate creation of admin interface from models. Means that, yeah, the admin is for using to add data, to delete data, what we just played around with the API, but there's a better way to play around that is using what is more visual. Yeah, so that's the Django admin site for. And Django was written in the newsroom environment, which is very clear separation between content publishers and the public. So site managers use the system to add new stories, events, scores, etc. That content is displayed on the public site. Django solved the problem of creating the unified interface for site administrator to edit content. So for admin, we have a separate site, and what shows on the public is for the public, not the admin side. Okay, the admin isn't intended, so the admin side isn't intended to be used by site visitor. It's for site manager. So and it is set admin. Admin is for admin. Okay. Now, creating an admin user. First, we'll need to create a user who can log in to admin site, run the following command. Okay, that's the command that we have to run. That easy to see, that's create super user. Okay, control copy back to our post here, and what we have to do now, we have to exit the shell script and exit the shell, and then we control V, Python manage py create super user. Kaboom. Now, the username, you have either you leave it blank, then it go by default to your username. For mine is Vince, because Windows said Vince, not Vincent. Enter your desired username, and here we follow our tutorial is admin. Okay, so follow the tutorial is admin. Enter email address. I don't like to, so we follow here is adminexample.com, @example.com, whatever. The admin @example.com. Yeah. So the password. The final step is to enter your password. You will be asked to enter your password twice. The second is for the confirmation of the first. Okay. So, and remember, password, you should not only number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not only number, and also yeah, not too complicated because we are learning. So what I'm using is, for example, I use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 admin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 admin. Oh, it's a match. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 admin. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 admin. Okay. Super user create successfully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 admin. Okay. I remember that's password. Okay. Sometimes you have to note it down, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 admin is not too hard to remember. Okay. Now start the development server. Django admin site is activated by default. Let's start the development server and explore it. If the server is not running, start it like here. Python manage py run server. You know that, okay? And maybe we have to let this open that we can use some command here. So that's now what we are using, our beloved command prompt. And I'm in my site already. So Control V and enter. Here, the site is running, and the address is 127.001 and port is 8000. Okay. Now open your web browser with the /admin. Remember, last time we go with poles, yeah. And if you don't remember the 127.0.0.1 and then semicolon and then 8000, if you go with that now, remember, error page not found because we have not setting our our home page yet. Instead, we have we had set to poles. Remember that? Here, hello world, you are in the post index. But now we go with admin. Okay, here is admin. And one more thing you can you may remember that instead of 127.0.0.1, you can go with what? You can go with localhost and then the semicolon, yeah, and then not semicolon. What the heck is that calling? I forgot it. Okay, 8000 and poles. Okay. Yeah. Also, you can go with admin. Okay. See, it's the same. Either you go with the exact IP address or you go with a domain name localhost. Localhost is the domain name, and 127.0.0.1 is the IP address, okay, which are the same. Okay, we close close one, we follow the tutorial. So we go here, and of course now you have to enter our username and password, that's for sure. Since translation is turned on by default, if you set language code, the login screen will display in the given language if Django has appropriate translation. Yeah, of course. But for the beginner, I don't think we need to do that complicated things. We stick with English, yeah? Okay. Username, admin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, admin. And then we log in. Okay, never remember my password. Okay, you see, here we have it. That's great. Okay, the admin site. Enter the admin site. Now try login with your super user account you created in the previous step. You'll see the Django admin index as follow, as we see it here. Yeah, mine is dark. Maybe I go with. I take it off already. Okay. I think I turn off my dark reader mode already, because if I turn it on, it's also dark. Okay, so we are in the dark theme. Okay. But dark is easier for my eye. You should see the few types of editable contents, group, and users. They are provided by Django Authentication Framework shipped by Django. Okay, you see here group and users. Here the admin users and the admin. So we have one user, as you can see here. Okay. But as you can see, there's no polls. Make the poll app modifiable by the admin. Yeah, here we come to our interesting part. But where's our poll app? I questioned it already. It's not displayed on the admin index page. Only one more thing to do. We need to tell the admin that question objects have an admin interface. To do this, open the polls admin file and edit so it looks like this. Okay. admin.site.registered question. Okay. Now we go back to our beloved VS Code, and then we make it to here. And polls, here's polls. Where's admin? Admin is here. Okay, so we have it here is from Django contribute import admin, but we need to do some adjustment. Import admin, so we put two more is import question from the modals. So from modals, import question. For modals here, our modals import the class question. You remember that? Our modals class question here. So import this one from this file. That's what it said. And what are we doing then? Declare to the admin. Ctrl V. And then Ctrl S. Explore the admin functionality. Now that we have registered question, Django knows that it should be displayed on the admin index page. So you should see that post after you finish this. Right? We have finished it, we have saved it, so we should see it. And to see it, refresh it. You don't need to rerun the server. Here, you see, oh, post application is here. That's a great idea. I love Django, man. And ladies. Click questions. Now you are in the change list. This page display all the questions in the database and let you choose one to change it. There's a what's up question we created earlier. So here, and what I said is go to change. Okay, here you can go to change or add. but we go to change. And here you see the what's up, okay? Now, sorry, let's see here. Click on the what's up question and edit it. So edit what? Things to note here. And edit it, okay, and edit it. The form is automatically generated for the question model. The different model field, the date field type and character field, correspondent to the appropriate HTML input widget. Each type of field knows how to display itself on Django admin. Yeah, you see it automatically shows it like that here. If we go, we open it, see? Oh, that's great. We don't need to do it. Django do it all for us, does it all for us, okay? Each date field gets a JavaScript shortcut. So you have to enable JavaScript if you are using Brave like me. Dates get a today shortcut and a now shortcut, okay? The bottom path is the buttons. Save, where to save it, save and continue editing, it's set so, then you know that. And then save and add another. Yeah, the name it, the name shows it already, and delete. Yeah, you don't need to explain more about that. If the value date published doesn't match the time when you create the question in tutorial 1, it probably means that you forgot to set the correct value of the time zone. Remember time zone at the beginning of this tutorial? Yeah? Change it and reload the page if you want to follow the time zone of your choice. In my case, I use the default UTC, so I have no problem with that. Change the date published by clicking on it today and now. Then save and continue editing. Then click history. Okay, now we adjust it by today and now, and then we will see what happened with the history, okay? Today, kaboom, and now, kaboom, okay? And then save and continue editing. Okay, so go to history, and you see we have just changed the date published. I love Django admin site, man. I love it. You see the page listing all changes made to the object via Django admin with the timestamp and username of the person who made the change. Who made the change? The admin made it, the user. Okay. When you are comfortable with the model API and have familiarized yourself with the admin site, read part 3. So we are at our end of part 2. And again, thank you for watching my video and hope to see you in part 3. Thank you.